Welcome back, friends, to Rupert Reads. Today we are going to continue with The Adventures of Jerry Muskrat by Thornton W Burgess, chapters 22 through 25. Chapter 22. Jerry Loses His Fear. Oh, tell me, you and you and you, if you've ever heard of all the wondrous things and great, the greatest is the spoken word. It's true. It's the truest thing that ever was. And if you don't believe me, just go ask Jerry Muskrat. He'll tell you it's true. And Jerry knows. You see, it's this way. Words are more than just sounds. Oh my yes. They are little messengers, and once they have been sent out, you can't call them back. No, sir, you can't call them back. And sometimes that is a very sad thing because, well, you see, these little messengers always carry something to tell someone else. And that something may be anger or hate or fear or an untruth. And it is these things which make most of the trouble in the world. Or that something may be love or sympathy or helpfulness or kindness. And it is these things which put an end to most of the troubles in the world. Just take the case of Jerry Muskrat. There he sat on the new dam, which had made the strange pond of the green forest, shaking with fear until his teeth chattered, as he watched a stranger very, very much bigger than he climb upon the dam. Jerry was afraid, because he had seen that the stranger could swim as well as he could. And as Jerry had no secret burrows there, he knew that he couldn't get away from the stranger if he wanted to. Somehow, Jerry knew without being told that the stranger had built the dam. And Jerry had twice made a hole in the dam to let water out of the strange pond into the Laughing Brook. Jerry knew right down in his heart that if he had built the dam, he would be very, very angry with anyone who tried to spoil it. And that is just what he had tried to do. So he sat there with chattering teeth, too frightened to even run. "I wish I had let someone else keep watch," said Jerry to himself. Then the big stranger had spoken. He had said, "Hello, Jerry Muskrat. Don't you know me?" And this voice hadn't sounded the least bit angry. Then he had told Jerry that he was his big cousin, Paddy the Beaver, and he hoped that they would be friends. Now everything was just as it had been before. The strange pond, the dam, Jerry himself, and the big stranger, and the black shadows of the night. And yet, somehow, everything was different. All because of the few pleasant words that had been spoken. A great fear had fallen away from Jerry's heart, and in its place was a great hope that after all there wasn't to be any trouble. So he replied to Paddy the Beaver as politely as he knew how. Paddy was just as polite. And the first thing Jerry knew, instead of being enemies, as Jerry had all along made up his mind would be the case when he found the builder of the dam, here they were becoming the best of friends, all because Paddy the Beaver had said the right thing the right way. "But you haven't told me yet why you made those holes in my dam for, Cousin Jerry," said Paddy the Beaver finally. Jerry didn't know what to say. He was so pleased with his big cousin that he didn't want to hurt his feelings by telling him that he didn't think the dam had any business to be across the Laughing Brook. And at the same time he wanted Paddy to know how he had spoiled the Laughing Brook and the Smiling Pool. At last he made up his mind to tell the whole story. Chapter 23. Paddy the Beaver Does a Kind Deed. Paddy the Beaver listened to all that his small cousin, Jerry Muskrat, had to tell him about the trouble which Paddy's dam had caused in the Laughing Brook and the Smiling Pool. "You say, we who live in the Smiling Pool love it dearly, and we don't want to have to leave it. But if the water cannot run down the Laughing Brook, there can be no Smiling Pool, and so we will have to move off to the big river," concluded Jerry Muskrat. "That is why I tried to spoil your dam." There was a twinkle in the eye of Paddy Beaver as he replied, "Well, now that you have found out that you can't do that because I'm bigger than you and can stop you, what are you going to do about it?" "I don't know," said Jerry Muskrat. "I don't see what we can do about it. Of course, you're big and strong and can do just as you please, but it doesn't seem right that we who live here so long should have to move and go away from all we love, so just because you, a stranger, happen to want to live here. I tell you what." Jerry's eyes sparkled as a brand new thought came to him. "Couldn't you come down and live in the Smiling Pool with us? I'm sure there isn't room enough." Paddy the Beaver shook his head. "No," said he, and Jerry's heart sank. "No, I can't do that because down there isn't any of the food I eat. Besides, I wouldn't feel all that safe in the Smiling Pool. You see, I always live in the woods. No, I couldn't possibly come down to live in the Smiling Pool. But I'm truly sorry that I have made you so much worry, Cousin Jerry. And what I'm going to do to prove it, now you sit right here until I come back." Before Jerry realized what he was going to do, Paddy the Beaver dived into the pond, and he disappeared. His broad tail hit the water such a slap that it made Jerry jump. Then there began a great disturbance under the water. In a few minutes he bobbed up a stick, and then another, and another, and the water grew so muddy that Jerry couldn't see what was going on. Paddy was gone a long time. Jerry wondered how he could stay under water so long without air. All the time, Paddy was just fooling him. He would come up to the surface, stick his nose out, nothing more, fill his lungs with fresh air, and go down again. Suddenly, Jerry Muskrat heard a sound that made him prick up his funny little short ears and whirl about so that he could look over the other side of the dam into the Laughing Brook. What do you think that sound was? Why, it was a sound of rushing water. The sweetest sound Jerry had listened to for a long time. There was a great hole in the dam, and already the brook was beginning to laugh as the water rushed into it. "How do you like that, Cousin Jerry?" said a right voice in his ear. Paddy the Beaver had climbed up beside him, and his eyes were twinkling. "It's splendid!" cried Jerry, but you spoiled your dam." "Oh, that's all right," replied Paddy. "I didn't really want it now anyways. I don't usually build dams at this time of year, and I built this one just for fun because it seemed such a nice place to build one. You see, I was traveling through here, and it seemed such a nice place that I thought I would stay a while. I didn't know anything about the Smiling Pool, you know. Now, I guess I have to move on and find a place where I can make a pond in the fall that will not trouble other people. You see, I don't like to be troubled myself, so I don't want to be troubled with other people. This Green Forest is a very nice place." "It's the nicest place in the world except the Green Meadows and the Smiling Pool," replied Jerry promptly. "Won't you stay, Cousin Paddy? I'm sure we would all like to have you." "Of course we would," said a gruff voice right beside them. It was Grandfather Frog. Paddy the Beaver looked thoughtfully. "Perhaps I will," said he, "if I can find some good hiding place in the Laughing Brook." Chapter 24. A Merry Homegoing. "The Laughing Brook is merry. So am I," cried Jerry. Grandfather Frog said he was too, and Spotty was, and the others knew. The trees stood with their wet feet where it was just a little while before they had the strange pond in the Green Forest, the pond made by the dam of Paddy the Beaver. In the dam was a great hole made by Paddy himself. Through the Green Forest rang the laughter of the Laughing Brook, for once more the water ran deep between its banks, and in the hearts of Grandfather Frog and Jerry Muskrat and Spotty the Turtle was laughter also, for now the Smiling Pool would smile once more, and they could go home in peace and happiness. And there was one more who laughed. Who was it? Why, Paddy the Beaver, to be sure. And he was the best laughed of all, for it was because he had brought happiness to others. "You beat me up here to the dam, but you won't beat me back to the Smiling Pool," cried Jerry Muskrat to Spotty the Turtle. Spotty laughed good-naturedly. "You'd better not stop to eat or play or sleep on the way," said he, "for I shall keep right on going all the time. I find that it is the only way to get anywhere." "Let us all go down together," said Grandfather Frog. "We can help each other over the bad places." Jerry Muskrat laughed until he had to hold his sides at the very thought of Grandfather Frog or Spotty the Turtle being able to help him. But he is very good-natured, and so he agreed that they should all go down together. Paddy the Beaver said he would go, too, so off the four started, Jerry Muskrat and Paddy the Beaver swimming side by side. Behind them, Grandfather Frog and Spotty the Turtle. Now, Spotty the Turtle is a very slow traveler on land, but in the water, Spotty is not so slow. In fact, it was not long before Grandfather Frog found that he was the one who could not keep up. You see, while he is a great diver and can swim fast for a short distance, he is soon tired out. Pretty soon, he was puffing and blowing, and dropping further and further behind. By and by, Spotty the Turtle looked back. There was Grandfather Frog, just tumbling head first over a little waterfall. Then he kept on choking and gasping and kicking his long legs very feebly. Spotty climbed out on the rock and waited. He helped Grandfather Frog out beside him. And when Grandfather Frog had once more gotten his breath, what do you think Spotty did? Why, He took Grandfather Frog right on his back and started on again. Now, Jerry Muskrat and Paddy the Beaver, being great swimmers, were soon out of sight. All at once, Jerry remembered that they had agreed to go back together, and down in his heart he felt a little bit mean when he looked for Grandfather Frog and Spotty the Turtle, and could see nothing of them. So he and Paddy sat down to wait. After what seemed a long time, they saw something queer bobbing along in the water. "It's Grandfather Frog!" cried Paddy the Beaver. "No, it's Spotty the Turtle," said Jerry Muskrat. "It's both," replied Paddy, beginning to laugh. Just then Spotty tumbled over another waterfall which he hadn't seen, and of course Grandfather Frog went with him, and lost his hold on Spotty's back. "I have an idea," cried Paddy. "What is it?" asked Jerry. "Why, Grandfather Frog can ride on my flat tail, and then we'll go slow enough for Spotty to keep up with us." And so it was that, just as the first moonbeams kissed the Smiling Pool, out of the Laughing Brook swam the merriest party that ever was seen. "Jug-a-rum," said Grandfather Frog. "It is good to be home, but I think I would travel often if I could have the tail of Paddy the Beaver for a boat." Chapter 25. Paddy the Beaver decides to stay. Fair green meadows, spreading wide, the Smiling Pool and Laughing Brook, they fill our hearts with joy and pride, and we love their every nook. So said Jerry Muskrat, as he climbed onto the big rock in the middle of the Smiling Pool, with Paddy the Beaver beside him, and watched the dear Smiling Pool dimpling and smiling in the moonlight, as he had often seen it before the great trouble had come. "Jug-a-rum," said Grandfather Frog in his deep voice from the bulrushes. "One never knows how great their blessings are until they have lost and found them again." The bulrushes nodded, as if they too were thinking of this. You see, their feet were once more in the cool water. Paddy the Beaver seemed to understand just how everyone felt, and he smiled to himself as he saw how happy these new friends of his were. "It surely is a nice place here, and I don't wonder that you couldn't bear to leave it," said he. "I'm sorry that I made you all trouble and worry, but you see, I didn't know." "Oh, that's all right," replied Jerry Muskrat, who was now very proud of his big cousin. "I hope that now you see how nice it is, you will stay and make your home here." Paddy the Beaver looked back at the great black shadow, which he knew was the Green Forest. Way over in the middle of it he heard the hunting call of Hooty the Owl. Then he looked over to the Green Meadows, and from way over the far side of them sounded the bark of Reddy Fox, and it was answered by the deep voice of Bowser the Hound up in Farmer Brown's dooryard. For some reason the last sound made Paddy the Beaver shiver a little, just as the voice of Hooty the Owl made the smaller people of the Green Forest and the Green Meadow shiver when they heard it. Paddy wasn't afraid of Hooty or of Reddy Fox, but Bowser's great voice was new to him, and somehow the very sound of it made him afraid. You see, the Green Meadows were so strange and open that he didn't feel at all at home, for he dearly loves the deepest part of the Green Forest. "No," said Paddy the Beaver, "I can't possibly live here in the Smiling Pool. It's a very nice pool, but it wouldn't do at all for me, Cousin Jerry. I wouldn't feel safe here a minute. Besides, there's nothing to eat here." "Oh, yes, there is," Jerry Muskrat interrupted. "There are lily roots and nicest freshwater clams and—" "But there are no trees," said Paddy the Beaver, "and you know I have to have trees." Jerry stared at Paddy as if he didn't understand. Do you eat trees?" he asked finally. Paddy laughed. "Just the bark," said he, "and I have to have a great deal of it." Jerry looked as disappointed as he felt. "Of course you can't stay then," said he, "and I thought we would have such good times together." Paddy's eyes twinkled. "Perhaps we may yet," said he. "You see, I have about made up my mind that I will stay a while at the Laughing Brook in the Green Forest, and you can come to see me there. On the way down I saw a very nice hole in the bank, and I think it would make me a good house for the present, and you can come up there to see me. But if I do stay, you and Grandfather Frog and Spotty the Turtle must keep my secret. No one must know that I am here, will you?" "Of course we will," cried Jerry Muskrat and Grandfather Frog and Spotty the Turtle together. "Then I'll stay," said Paddy the Beaver, diving into the Smiling Pool with a great splash. And so one of Jerry Muskrat's greatest adventures ended in the finding of his biggest cousin, Paddy the Beaver. Now, Jerry has a lot of cousins, and one of them lives on the Green Meadows, not far from the Smiling Pool. His name is Danny Meadow Mouse, and Danny is forever having adventures too. He has them every day, and in the next book you will be able to see some of these, if you care to read about them. And that's the end of this story, and if you liked what you heard, please consider liking, commenting, and subscribing. Thank you.